5.6 million people overpaid tax last year. There are 35 million taxpayers in the UK. That means that nearly 1 in 5 of you have overpaid tax. And that's not because you've made a mistake or you like paying more tax, it's because HMRC has guessed wrong. And for most of you, you probably didn't even notice it happen. Now, HMRC won't give you a warning they're increasing your tax code. You basically just get less money every month for months, maybe even years. Now, £3.5 billion is sitting in HMRC's account right now that they have absolutely no right to. So I'm going to show you how to check if you're owed money. It takes all of about 1 minute, and if you're owed money, I'll show you how to get it back without getting scammed in the process. But first, you need to understand why this happens, because once you see it, you might start double checking every payslip. Now, I'd say most people think that PAYE, as in the system in which most of us get paid, happens in the background. It's handled for them. You know, you work, HMRC takes tax, done. Relatively straightforward. But that's not actually what PAYE does. It's a prediction system. HMRC looks at the data they've got, they look at your job, your benefits, your income, and they make a best guess at what you earn in that tax year. Then they issue a tax code, and that tax code tells your employer how much tax they should be taking. Now, the problem is, if that data's wrong, then the code's wrong. And if the code's wrong, then that means you're overpaying automatically each and every single payday. And nobody is going to be telling you this. So let me paint you a bit of a picture, because this does happen constantly. Let's say you changed jobs in March, you had a company car, that's at the old place, you did a bit of freelance work a couple of years ago, you got some savings earning interest, maybe a small pension from a job that you forgot about. Now, none of that is considered unusual, right? That's just life. But in the background, what HMRC's system is doing is it looks at all of that and goes, right, well, we reckon you're earning X plus Y plus Z, and we'll adjust your code to collect tax all through your salary. And if they're wrong, if that freelance income stopped, if the company car's gone, if the pension's smaller than they think, well, you're just quietly bleeding money month after month after month. So you can see why it's easy to miss. There's just less in your account, and you'd probably never really question it. Now, as a firm, we see this type of situation all the time, and it is fixable once you know what to look for. So here's what we're going to be covering. The 5 triggers that cause codes to go wrong, and you can tick them off as and when they apply to you. I'll give you just the 1-minute payslip check that tells if something's off right now, and then I'll go into how to actually fix it and how to claim your money back, because the rules have changed recently and a lot of people won't know about this. And then what I'll also touch on is the scams that are pretty much everywhere right now. Now, your tax code is an instruction. It tells your employer this person gets paid X tax-free, take tax on everything above that. And most people's codes is 1257L. That means you get 12,570 tax-free. That's the standard personal allowance, and the L means you're a normal taxpayer, nothing weird. If your code is 1257L and you've got one job, nothing complicated going on, you're probably fine. But if your code is anything else, a different number, a different letter, something with a K or a BR or a W1 or an M1 tacked on the end of it, pay attention, that's where people start to lose money. So just to be absolutely clear on this, PAYE isn't your tax is correct. PAYE is your tax is correct if HMRC's data is correct. And their data is very often not correct. Right, so I'm going to go through the 5 big triggers. And while I do this, I want you to kind of mentally tick off whenever any of these apply to you, because if one does, you should probably check out your tax code as soon as possible. So trigger 1 is the ghost benefit. Let's say you used to have a company car or private medical or some other benefit from your employer. And then that benefit ultimately always gets reported to HMRC. HMRC would then adjust your tax code to collect tax on it. But let's say that benefit stopped. You changed jobs, you gave the car back, whatever it is. The problem is that the code may not have updated. So you could still be paying tax on a benefit that you don't receive anymore every month, and you probably never know unless you checked. So if you left a job and you had benefits, even if it's years ago, this is the first thing I'll be looking at. So trigger number 2, the phantom income. Now, HMRC could think that you have income outside of your job. That could be through rental income, dividends, bank interest, freelance work. And because they think that, they adjust your PAYE code to collect tax on it through your salary. It makes sense in theory. The problem is, what if that income stopped? What if it was just one-off? What if they just got the number wrong? You end up being taxed in your main job for money you're not actually receiving. And you might not even remember telling them about it. It could have been a tax return from years ago, but the system remembers and the system doesn't then forget to collect it. Moving on to trigger number 3. This is job change and just overall chaos around that. If you have changed a job this year, or you've had multiple jobs or overlapping payrolls, this is prime territory to get in a bit of a pickle. The classic scenario is you leave a job in January, you start a new job in February, the old employer's payroll is slow at reporting that final pay, so the new employer doesn't have your P45 yet. So what happens is HMRC doesn't actually know what's going on. Your new employer puts you on an emergency code and you're suddenly being taxed like you have no personal allowance at all. You're paying either 20%, it could potentially be up to 40% on every single pound. And it might take months to sort out. And that's months where you're hemorrhaging money that should be in your account. Off the back of that, trigger number 4, the emergency code. Let me explain how to spot one. If your tax code ends in W1, M1 or X, or your payslip says non-cum anywhere, you're on an emergency code. That means your employer is taxing you based on this month only. They're not looking at the whole year. They're not catching you up. They're just ultimately guessing. And sometimes that's fine. It's temporary and it can sort itself out. But sometimes it doesn't. And you end up overpaying for months because no one told you to chase it up. Now, if you see those letters, check your HMRC record, make sure they actually have the right details. And trigger number 5 is the complexity creep. PAYE is doing more heavy lifting now than it used to. An example, high income child benefit charge. If you earn over 60,000 in your household claims child benefit, you might owe some of it back. And HMRC now collect that through your tax code in certain situations, which means your take home drops and you have no idea why, because it's buried in a tax code adjustment that you never asked for and probably don't understand. The point is, as PAYE gets more complicated, more things can go wrong. And if you don't understand your code, you probably won't spot that mistake. Okay, so that's the theory. Now let's get practical, because I said there is a 1-minute check that you can do. So here's how to do it. The first thing, open up your latest payslip or your online kind of payroll portal, find your tax code. It's usually near your national insurance number or employee details. It might be in the top, it might be in a box labeled tax code. Once you've got that, step 1 is, does it look normal? If it says 1257L, then that's the standard code for most people with one job, one income. It doesn't mean it's definitely correct, but it's not screaming, there's a problem here. So step number 2, it's those emergency flags. If it ends in a W1, M1 or X or says non-cum anywhere, that's an emergency or similar code. It might be temporary, but it's a flag. Your job is to log into your HMRC Personal Tax Account and check that you've got the employee details right. So step number 3, your number looks wrong if the number isn't 1257. You need to ask yourself why. If it's a lower number, that usually means HMRC is reducing your allowance because they think you owe tax on something else. If it's a higher number, it could be you've got extra allowances. It could be marriage allowance transfer, blind person allowance, whatever it might be. K code, that means the adjustments are so big, they've run out of allowance. You're being taxed extra to claw back what they think you owe. That's a red flag, so make sure you check it. And step number 4 is, does this match my life test? Forget the numbers for a second. Ask yourself, has anything changed in my life that HMRC might not know about? A new job, old job ended, benefits stopped, side income dried up, started a pension, stopped a pension, child benefit situation changed. If yes, and your tax code looks the same as it did before, assume it's wrong until you've checked it, basically, because HMRC doesn't automatically know when your life changes. They'll find out sooner or later, or not at all. In the meantime, you might be paying for it. So how do we actually fix it? All right. Well, let's say you check something that looks off. What do you need to do? Step 1 is verify what HMRC thinks, and like I said, you can log into your personal tax account. You can do it online via the .gov site or through the HMRC app. Look at what income sources they think you have, what benefits, what adjustments, and does it match reality? Or have they got this phantom income in there? Is there old benefits, wrong employer details? And step number 2 is update or challenge. Now, if something is wrong, you can update it yourself through the portal in a lot of cases. If it's more complicated, wrong employer information, disputed amounts, you'll need to contact HMRC directly. And in these circumstances, it isn't as if HMRC is trying to be sneaky and actually rob you here. It's a data and system problem. Their system runs on data. If the data is late or wrong, then your code is likely late or wrong. So it's your job to make sure that data is right, because no one else is going to do it for you. And the bottom line is it only affects you. So unless you like giving HMRC some of your money, it's up to you to be on top of it. Now, something else that has changed recently, it used to be if you overpaid tax, HMRC would do a calculation at the end of the year, figure out what you owed, and send you a check automatically after 21 days. Well, guess what? That's changed. HMRC confirmed only in late December of last year that they will no longer automatically send refund checks. You have to take action and claim it yourself. So if you got a P800 letter, that's HMRC's annual tax calculation, and it says you're owed money, you need to log into your account and actually claim that money. You can choose to have it bank transfer, you can request a check, but if you do nothing, you might be waiting a very long time. And for me, an honest disclosure here is the last time I logged in some time ago, I was actually due £800. So don't assume the money is coming in. Go on there and claim it yourself. Now, the last thing here, this is the refund scams that are going around. I'm not going to labor on about it, but it really does matter, because whenever there's money involved online or anywhere, scammers appear. We all know that. And we know how it looks. Texts, emails, voicemails, all claiming to be HMRC, all saying you're due a refund, all asking you to click on a link or give details. They are scams, all of them. Now, HMRC will never text you a link asking for bank details. They won't email asking you to verify your account. They won't call you in a threatening way saying that you're going to get arrested if you don't pay immediately or something along those lines. So if you get a message saying you owe us money, don't bloody click anything. Go directly to HMRC, log into your account or through the official website or app. And if there's a real refund waiting there, you'll see it. And if someone ever calls you claiming to be HMRC, if you feel pressured, threatened, or they're demanding some kind of immediate payment, just hang up the phone. That isn't HMRC. That's a criminal with a pretty decent script trying to scam you. Now, there is a place you can report suspicious text. It's worth checking out. The number probably changes. But best thing, just don't engage. Don't give any details. Just report it, delete it, and get on with your day. So the point here is 3.5 billion was overpaid last year. And that's not because people weren't paying attention. It's because of the system that lots of us trust doesn't check itself. PAYE is done well only if the data is right. So your job is just 5 minutes, even if it's once a year, to make sure that data is actually correct. Check your tax code, make sure it matches your life, and if you're owed money, claim it back properly. Don't wait, don't click on dodgy links, go through the right channels. Okay? Now, if you're running a business or you're having any issues with HMRC, an audit or anything like that, or you just need an accountant that's got your back, you can get in touch with us. We're called Your Accountant. The link is in the description. But I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon.